I grew up in an environment that essentially cursed me.
Mm.
The only way I know how to respond is through my art.
Billy Babes, welcome to Rain!
Thank you.
How are you doing?
I am fantastic.
We've got so much to get into today. I mean, where do we even begin? But let's begin with your latest studio album, which is just packed full of hits. I love it.
Aw.
Black Mona Lisa. It's out right now.
Right now.
And I
Go
think-
get it.
Go get it. It should be popped in a gallery because it is a masterpiece, just like the
thank
actual
you.
Mona Lisa.
Thank
What
you.
is the category for this album?
There's not one category, but I would say the category would be love.
Mm.
You know, this is a music collage that is 30 years in the making for me. My first mainstream R&B album came out in 1997.
Mm.
And it was great. The business was very homophobic at the time. And I was never interested in not being authentic.
Mm.
And so there wasn't really a place for me. You know, they put me out. And blessedly, I have so many other things that I can do. You know, the multi-hyphenated artist
I mean, you can do a lot.
really has served me.
Yeah.
Thank you. Really has served me. So I've been able to carve out a space for myself, and the music, the mainstream music space has returned to me. And now I get to exist inside of the paradigm on my own terms. And that is magical. I wrote every single song on this record. I call it my magnum opus. Up until this point, I'm sure something else in the future will be just as important, if not more. In this moment, being that the singing voice is the original gift, and all the original dreams are based on that gift. And the reason why I'm a multi-hyphenate is because I had that gift, the music gift, the singing gift, the voice that saved me from everything. You know, pulled me out of trauma, saved, you know, helped me understand how to dream beyond my circumstance, all of that. So to be able to return to that original space just takes my breath away. It really does.
When do you think you really found self-love for yourself?
I'm still finding it. You know, I would say really in earnest over the last decade. You know, I really deepened that journey during COVID. I went into trauma therapy during COVID. I had a chance to slow down and stop, which is not something as a workaholic that, you know, we ever think about doing. You know, I don't know that if the world hadn't stopped and we were all forced into this shutdown thing, I don't know that I ever would have had the time, made the time, knew that I needed to make the time to do a different kind of work to heal the trauma in my life so I could really move forward. You know, I had gotten to a place where like I had gone as far as I could go, emotionally, spiritually, physically, everything. And I needed some more excavation.
What's maybe a piece of advice you got told during that time that's really helped you find this new level in yourself?
Self-compassion. I'm so hard on myself. I had no compassion for myself, and my trauma therapist spent 3 months. We spent the first 3 months just working on self-compassion. It's not second nature to us as humans to have self-compassion, because that means that you have to forgive yourself. You have to sit in the uncomfortable of not having all the answers, you know, not being perfect, feeling bad, and allowing myself to feel bad today. That's how I feel today. And this too shall pass. You know, just like when we can figure out how to like breathe
Yeah.
and just put one foot in front of the other every day, it will all be okay. It will be okay. Yes.
I think it's quite sad to hear that you didn't have self-compassion for yourself, given everything that you've given to so many people in so many ways.
Yeah, I mean, that's sweet of you. And don't cry for me, Argentina. I have a lot of blessings in my life.
Yeah.
Right? Even the blessing of coming to the knowledge of understanding that a healing needed to take place to begin with is the gift. So many people don't even know that. So many people don't even recognize that work needs to be done internally on yourself. You know, I'm 54 years old. It's like it's time to hit it. I got things to do, darling.
We're busy. We've got a long to-do
We're
list.
busy, honey. I don't know how much longer I have on this earth.
But that's what's so special about this album as well, because there are very, very powerful statements in it. And there's one line that really stuck out to me in More to Learn. And you open with the lyric, I'm alive, what an accomplishment for my kind. And I was like, wow, that is a powerful statement to open a song with. What does that mean to you?
Like I said, I've lived through a lot of trauma. I came out in 1985 when I was 16 years old. We went straight to the front lines to fight for our lives during the AIDS crisis. I was diagnosed with HIV in 2007. I grew up in an environment that essentially cursed me. I grew up in the Black church. They told me from their pulpits as often as they could, I would never be blessed. The structure of our societies that look at me as a Black man and look at me as a gay man and completely dismiss me from existence on the planet as a human being. All of these things weigh into my art. The only way I know how to respond is through my art. And inside of the art, it's grounded in loving kindness and compassion. I'm alive. What an accomplishment. I'm not supposed to be here. 2007 was the worst year of my life. February, I was diagnosed with diabetes. March, I had to file for bankruptcy. And by June, I was HIV positive. I had become the statistic that they all said I would be. And guess what? None of that matters. None of the rhetoric has any credibility anymore. Because this is what all of that looks like now. This is what the queen looks like. This is what the diabetic looks like. This is what the HIV positive looks like. This is what the bankrupt looks like. Yeah, this is what it looks like.
And you're thriving. Not just alive, you're
we
thriving.
Can all transcend whatever befalls us. Get back up again.
Yeah.
We fall down, but we get up.
That's such a powerful message to share with us. And I think what's so impressive and so powerful about you as a person is you're sitting here telling us that. Thank you for sharing it with us.
Of course.
And then you have achieved so much. You are an O away from being an EGOT, babes.
Yes, I am.
Yes,
I am,
you
babes.
are.
Yes, I am, babes.
Let's just take a moment. That is rare. As achievements go,
it's
that
rarefied
is
air.
beyond rare.
Yes, it is.
For all you've gone through and the people who told you you wouldn't be able to get to this point in your life or have this level of success, do you kind of really want to get that Oscar to kind of really prove to them, I can do it all? Have you kind of felt like you've done that already?
I've already done that. And I don't make decisions based on other people anymore. I'm not trying to get validation from the outside anymore. You know, there are two words that I can't stand in relation to the queer community, and that's acceptance and tolerance. I don't need anybody's acceptance or tolerance to give me permission to exist on this planet. I don't need any of that. The demand is respect for my humanity as I respect everybody else's. Period. That's it. If you can't do that, move out of my way. Move. Because there's work to do. You know, I am an artist first, and all of the work that I choose is based on service. How can I be of service through the work that I do for a living? What does that look like? I was watching Oprah over 20 years ago, and she had on Maya Angelou and Jan Van Sant, and they were talking about that. They were talking about service, and their theory is when you shift your intention to service, everything else will work itself out. And I asked myself what that looked like right after that show, and it was, you know, and it hit me like a ton of bricks. It's your queerness. It's that thing that everybody is telling you is your liability. Everybody told me my queerness would be my liability, and it was. For decades, it was. And now it's my superpower. You know, I am just so grateful that I lived long enough to see this day. I'm alive. What an accomplishment. You know, I lost more friends to AIDS by the age of 21 than my 85-year-old grandmother had. We've been through some stuff. My generation, we have. And for those of us who are still here, you know, I used to have Survivor's Guild, and why am I here and why am I here? And boy, did Pose, I never would have imagined when I got into this business in the 80s that Pray Tell and Pose would ever be a thing. I spent the first 25 years of my life just trying to be straight enough in other people's eyes, or be perceived as straight enough so that I could eat. So what's happening right now in the world, to me in general, in the queer community, in the Black community, in our evolution as humanity, it's magical. And of course, with that comes a pushback. There's a lot of good stuff happening. Sorry.
We can swear.
You can?
Oh, yeah, you
okay,
can.
a lot of good shit happening in the world. We always lean into the negative.
Yeah.
Speak life into yourselves, y'all. Speak life into us.
You said this was 30 years in the making. And you mentioned that you lost a lot of friends to the AIDS crisis, and you lost a lot of people along the way. How proud do you think those friends would be of you to know that you are out here now, 30 years on, living your truth, being yourself, and being able to release an album that you want to release?
We are the change that we want to see. And it's not lost on me that I'm a part of that generation that helped to kick the doors down for this one. And I get to walk down the trails that I was a part of blazing. And that's not always the case. Actually, very often the percentage is way less than positive. It's magical that I get to benefit. You know, I think about when I was teaching at Carnegie Mellon, for instance, and I was in my valley period. It was in my 30s, and, you know, some of my students, Leslie Odom Jr., Griffin Matthews, Patina Miller, you know, what I was saying to these kids are, you have to be authentic, no matter what. That advice in the early 2000s was not working for me yet. It had not worked for me yet, but I believed it enough to plant that in others. And you fast forward to 2013, Tony Award night, and Patina Miller wins a Tony Award for playing the leading player in Pippin, Best Leading Actress in a Musical, the same year I win for Kinky Boots. That is, for me, it's like, wow. Wow. you know, and I'm 54. I show up as mother. I'm mother, I'm auntie, I'm daddy, I'm whatever you need. Yes.
Call me what you want, baby.
Call me what you want, whatever you want. And don't be ageist about it either. Because this is what 54 looks like, Henny.